Let's do this!
Hey, I'm Jacob.
I'm Tyler.
And we are
Card
Collectors. Today we're going to be reviewing a game called Wizards and Warriors. It came out in 1987 in the United States. And it was developed by Rare, which you may have known has developed Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong 64, and finally Conker's Bad Fur Day. And it was produced by a company called Acclaim. You might have known them from the million and one sports games that they produced, but also they had a hand in one of our favorite games, Dave Moore, Freestyle BMX 2.
So on first impression, when I look at this, I'm pretty impressed with the cover art on it, and I feel like had I been like 8 or 9 years old in 1987, this cover art would have sold me on it alone. And when I got home, I wouldn't have been disappointed with my purchase.
Alright, so this game has a very generic storyline actually for being a Wizards and Warriors game. Essentially, you are a warrior named Kuros. You seem to be the only one in the entire kingdom of Elrond to be able to fight the evil. Whatever. You happen to be going to rescue a princess. What is the princess' name? We have no idea. But you have to capture her from the evil wizard Makil. Probably just destroyed that name. But anyways, Makil is, according to the back of the box, it says that Merlin was essentially his disciple and he was the teacher. That's how powerful and evil Makil was, except for, yeah, Makil turned evil, Merlin turned good, of course.
So overall, the graphics are very solid. What's good about them is it does well with textures, similar to how Toki did well with textures. Another thing that's good about it is the animation. It has similar quality animation to Impossible Mission. Like in Wizards and Warriors, when you're jumping and you're gliding, it's all very smooth and looks nice. And also when you die, the animation of him dying is really quite amusing. And just overall, the game is quite aesthetically pleasing. And
the genre of this game is platformer, but it plays to a similar way as Metroid does, where there's different levels, vertically and horizontally. It's on each level you kind of have like a little puzzle that you have to figure out. You have to explore the entire level just to proceed to the next one.
in order to proceed from one level to the next, you have to go around and find gems that are scattered throughout the level. The reason for this is that there's a guardian who actually looks a lot like Kuros, who's standing as a gatekeeper and won't let you pass unless you have an amount of gems that range anywhere from 50 to 200. He's similar to the doorkeeper in Donkey Kong 64, who won't let you enter a level unless you have a certain amount of golden bananas, so he serves that same role. There are also hidden areas where you can find more gems to help you get to the number needed to advance to the next level.
Now, while you're going through this game, there are some permanent items that carry on with you throughout the entire game, whether you die or not. And they have some really original names. Keep that in mind. There's a Shield of Protection. It protects you. You have the Feather of Featherfall, which allows you to fall like a feather. There's a Potion of Levitation. Surprisingly enough, it allows you to levitate. Then there's the Dagger of Throwing. You throw the dagger. You can't stab people with the dagger, but you can throw it. That's why this is Dagger of Throwing, not the Dagger of Stabbing. And then there's the Battle Axe of Agor, which it replaces your Dagger of Throwing, and it does similar amounts of damage. It's just an axe.
There are also special items in the game, and they have very original names as well. There's the Boots of Lava Walk, lets you walk on lava. Boots of Force, which allows you to damage enemies. The Wand of Wonder, which stuns enemies. And then the Staff of Power, which causes damage to the enemies. And then there's also the Cloak of Darkness, which allows you to go invisible. But the enemies still know you're there, so really what it does is it causes it so you only take one hit of damage. But the thing is, most enemies only deal the one hit anyways, so it's really a useless item from what we were able to tell. And then the final special item is the Horn, which allows you to find the hidden rooms so you don't have to just jump around aimlessly. So if you can find that, that'll really help you get to the amount of gems you need to proceed to the next level.
Unlike permanent items and special items, they're just some items that you just kind of collect. There's small coin, large coin, which just gives you points. It's not that big of a deal. And there's treasure, which gives you a lot of points all at once. Generally, it's left by bosses or in hidden areas. And then there's meat, which heals you slightly. And then there's the exploding egg, which kills all enemies on the screen. And there's the alarm clock. Why there's an alarm clock back then, I don't know. But what it does is it freezes all the enemies on the screen, so it's pretty helpful. And then there's a small dagger and small axe, which essentially is an upgrade to the weapon you have. It's similar to like getting the double stone and the treble stone from Big Nose. Then there's also some potions which are dropped by enemies. Basically, they have different kinds. There's blue, which allows you to run faster. There's red, which makes you invincible for a short amount of time. And then there's pink, which allows you to jump higher, which is very helpful, especially if you don't have the potion of levitation.
There are also keys to collect on each level. They come in red, blue, and pink, and you need these to help you navigate through different portions of each level in order to accumulate the amount of gems you need and also get certain items to proceed through each level and get to the boss. And all these bosses overall are very similar in their pattern and behavior, and you can just kind of figure out what their pattern is and just hit them, jump over, hit them, jump over, and just continue that cycle until you get to the last two bosses. The second to last boss is a skeleton changeling, which has 4 different forms or sizes, and he is a little bit different than the other enemies because he's hard to predict what exactly he's going to do, and it's hard to maneuver around him. And then the final boss, which is the Malkill, it's a large room that you fight him in, and unless you know the one particular spot or the Toki zone where you're a little bit more safe than usual and are able to attack him, you aren't going to be able to beat him. But if you are in that Toki zone, as we've coined it, then you have a chance at beating him. But even then, it could take multiple tries, and it's just a matter of getting the right opportunities to hit him. But once you do, that is the way to take him down, and then you can save your nameless princess.
The only thing we've noticed about the control is when you're facing an enemy, such as the boss, and you have a lot of upgrades. You have the Feather of Feather Fall and the Potion of Levitation. When you jump and then you press up, the Feather of Feather Fall comes into play and you can kind of glide over the enemies. However, if you accidentally press up before you jump, the Potion of Levitation which comes into play, which allows you to hover for a little bit so that you can get a higher jump. Now that doesn't seem like a big issue, but when the enemy is coming after you, you don't want to take the time for you to levitate and then be able to jump. It's just not enough time. So that was the only issue, just kind of like in the heat of battle kind of moment, they kind of clash in the control. But other than that, it's really not, everything makes sense. All the buttons make sense. The general difficulty of this game is fairly easy as far as the levels are concerned, because it's essentially a puzzle. The enemies do not matter. They do not matter. They get in your way, oh well. They're just an annoyance.
And the reason that they don't matter is that when you die 3 times, or however many it is, and then you get game over, you press start, you resume right where you are, and the only thing you lost is your points. You still have your special items, your regular items, and your permanent items. So there's really no consequence to the game over, or any limit to how many game overs you have.
Right. The only thing where the difficulty takes place is during the boss battles. And it sequentially gets harder and harder. You can't look at the levels part of the difficulty. Just look at the bosses and it all makes sense. Like Tyler mentioned just a little bit ago, the bosses get difficult, especially the last 2.
Yep.
But other than that, the difficulty really wasn't that bad. It's easy to pick up and play.
Yeah, and it's a game that really, you could beat it in an hour, and
It's a pretty short game.
an hour and a half tops. I mean, it all depends on how much of a difficulty the bosses give you.
Or if the game glitches out.
Or if the game glitches out. It's it's definitely a game I would recommend, and if you don't have it, then I really, if you get a chance to pick it up, then I think you should definitely.
Yep. It's just overall, it's a pretty solid game, and I'm glad. Who was it? Cedric.
Yep.
Recommended it to us.
One of my old teachers from
So
school.
thank you for recommending it. It's a fun game to play. It really is.
We did this video just for you, Cedric.
We did.
It's true.
So thank you, and stay tuned to the end of the video to see our ratings.
Yep. So thanks for watching. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are Card Collectors. Bye.
Bye.